My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
Hello again, folks. We're in beautiful Lincolnshire for round 4 of the Hyundai Construction Equipment British Sidecar Championship. I'm in beautiful countryside, about 8 miles from Cadwell Park. That's where the race is, not here. The reason I'm here is very special because we have something of an unusual title sponsor for the Cadwell event, the Massingburn Monday Lincoln Red Beef Sidecar Revival. What's red beef? What's Lincoln Red? I'm about to find out because I'm with John Crutchley, who's herd manager for what is, I have to say, John, a rare breed of cattle I've never heard of, and they were almost once an endangered species. Is that correct?
Yes, they were once. That's quite right. But they are. This herd is a pure native breed. It's 100% blood. It's not an XP, it's not crossed with anything, so it is a pure native breed. And this herd, which is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Thorns of South Ormsby Estate, is one of the largest pure herds in this country, probably in the world for all we know. But it's beef that we are interested in because of the taste of it, the texture of it, the way it cooks, and people are beginning to notice this and realise it, and particularly our chefs on television nowadays are starting to notice it, and we're wanting the general public to taste it and to ask in butchers for it, specifically Lincoln Red beef, but the pure native Lincoln Red beef. There's a commercial aspect to everything, isn't there?
Of course.
And there has to be here. So that's what we're looking for, but we're really looking for people to enjoy our product. That's what we're after.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you for getting involved in the event. That brings us back to the event itself and the standings. This is round 4, as I say. Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark are running away with the championship. They're on 111 points at the top of the table. Let's see how they go on with 4 races here at Cadwell Park this weekend. But for now, let's get on with the action. Action indeed. 41 points Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark lead. Phil Bell, Stuart Ramsey in there. The first of the 600s, Ellis Richardson. Another 600, Stevens Charlwood. Rupert Archer, Gary Horsfall. These boys are all trying. Lots of points up for grabs this weekend. In the 600 Cup, Todd Ellis leads by a country mile from Ricky Stevens. A very special event here at Cadwell. We're not running with BSB. It's a sidecar festival, outfit spanning 4 decades. We've got former world champions here, no fewer than 3 of them, and we caught up with some of those Grand Prix greats. A husband and wife team back in the day, Dennis and Julia Bingham, I remember them well. They've been out around the track here at Cadwell on a Crouser, not Dennis's bike, but an impressive piece of kit nonetheless.
Very nice, yes. It's the bike that Rolf Bielan won the World Championship on in 1983. And since then it's been through several owners, but it now belongs to Jim Norbury, and he's very kindly asked me to ride it this weekend. So,
Julia, I bet you wish you had something like that when you were racing in Anger.
Oh yes, that would be absolutely brilliant. We enjoyed our time though when we were racing, but this is something special to have a chance to ride on it.
The world of sidecar racing is unique in that even today there are still quite a lot of ladies who compete.
Yes, I've spoke to 1 or 2 today, and 1 or 2 have actually said to me, oh, it was your enthusiasm and we wanted to be like you, so that's why we're racing now, and I thought that was really good.
I'm moving over here to a world champion, 2002 world champion Steve Abbott. with Scott Whiteside was doing the business out on track today. Good to be back on the bike, and I have to say it's distinctive, a bit special.
Thank you. Yeah, I've put a lot of work into it.
Tell us how the Ham Yams came about.
It was a sponsor of ours called Ray Hamilton from Chesterley Street, County Durham, and it was just an abbreviation, Ham Yam, Hamilton Yamaha. So that was the sponsor from back in the day in '85.
Scott, you rode for a season together?
No, we never rode. We always competed against each other. So I was riding with Barry, but we got together in 2011 when Steve restored the bike, and we just do parading and having a bit of a giggle. It's good fun.
Steve Webster, lovely to see you again. And is this your first time out for a little while?
It is. It's first time out for maybe 3 or 4 years actually. Last time was Goodwood, so it's not like a proper circuit racing as such. So it was that's just a hill climb. So it's trying to remember where the track went. But, yeah, we sorted it out.
You're like Paul, you have to remember how to get in your leathers. But when was the last time you were here at Cadwell?
More than 20 years ago. Don't know exactly, probably late 90s. I've never been with Steve though, so it's nice to ride around with him.
It's a good event, isn't it? And you've seen a few old friends, and it's really great.
Yeah, it's fantastic to come somewhere and actually see. Normally the only time we all get together usually is weddings and funerals, and it's actually nice to be coming to a race meeting and seeing all the lads, seeing the friends who you've not seen for years. Some of the foreign lads have come across, and it's just great. It's a smashing environment, and I really like it. Yeah, hats off to Roger for doing it. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, 10 World Championships, I doubt if that will be beaten in this day and age, but certainly it's a record. Really, really good success. But when you stop racing, doesn't time fly by?
Oh, I've done it just, I was just thinking how many years ago it was since we stopped racing, and what have we been doing for 15 years?
15 years,
yeah. I think we've been fishing. We went fishing, did we?
We go fishing now. We go fishing.
You sad old fellas.
Yeah, we've got a little boat and we go fishing.
Hey, it's proper fishing though.
It's not dangerous though, is it?
No.
It can be if he's driving boat, yeah.
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
Named after the legendary Swiss former world champion, the Prometheus Cup was on the programme this weekend, and one of our regular competitors, veteran Brian Gray, competed in both classes. We've seen Brian Gray and Jason Pitt quite a lot, over recent months in our championship this year and to the tail end of last year. Always there or thereabouts, mid-pack, but a great fighter, and been around the scene a long time, Brian Gray. And he's one of the few modern riders that also rides classics competitively. And here we've got one of each generation, 50 years apart, these motorcycles. Brian, how different are they?
They're entirely different to drive. The classic, the older one, is very heavy to drive compared to the modern LCR type outfits. So it's a bit harder work, but thankfully shorter laps.
Well, over a long career, you've evolved as the bikes have evolved, so I suppose the differences aren't as stark as if you just jumped on it.
No, that's true. I know what to expect from the first bikes we had, very similar to this, even thinner wheels, 16-inch wheels we used to have with Triumph engines in was my first bike, and gradually moved through the different eras, through the two strokes with the TZ 750s and 500s. That was always a very popular time. Great fun, the two strokes, but things move on and we move to the bigger engines, to the 1300s and 1000 cc's, and now the British Championship for next year is following the World Championships as 600 cc, and I feel that's a great move.
Jason, I suppose the modern 600, like the R6 behind us, is a very quick bike. I mean, 600 now delivers a lot of horsepower.
Yeah, it's phenomenally quick on the corners. I mean, I've ridden both the 1000 and the 600, and the corner speed is just incredible. It's great fun compared to, well, all of them. I enjoy the 1000, but I especially like the 600, yeah. And so good on the brakes as well, so much later. And it makes that racing so much more competitive, I think. Snetson showed it last week. I mean, how many overtakes was there in that race? It's just great racing.
It's a good event, Brian, this, isn't it? We've got riders from yesteryear, we've got world champions here. It's like a big family, everybody's having fun.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. It's a real fun meeting. To organise something like this is, if you like sidecars, you can't go wrong here. There's everything for you. So, yeah, very pleased with the day so far.
As the first of four races lined up, Brian Gray and Jason Pitt were mid-pack, but at the sharp end, it was the championship leaders Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark with a stunning pole position. They were alongside their teammates, the number 6 Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson, with 1000cc Marin Motorsports Kawasaki of Phil Bell and Stuart Ramsey going off the line in third. You would have expected that big engine to thump away up through Coppice towards Charlie's, but very quickly Kershaw established a massive lead. Ellis got second, Bell was chasing, Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde were there as well, having started brilliantly. And Gary Hyde was going so well at Cadwell. Ricky Stevens headed Martin Kirk. Gary Horsepole and Ian Guy were having a good scrap in the early stages. And that battle unfolded. Brian Gray stuck in the middle there of Dean Nichols and Rupert Archer. When the checkered flag came out, it was Kershaw with nearly a 10-second lead who clinched the first of the 4 races here. That was the margin, 9.793. Bell could do no better than third. That 600 of Ellis and Richardson got the better of him. Gary Bryan on a big engine there ahead of Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood. Martin Kirk and Shelley Smith is 6th place on their 600. Dean Nichols, Kenny Cole in 11th. There's Gray, 12th place for him and Jason. Thank you. Race 2 was unbelievably eventful. Andy Peach lined up alongside Simon Gilbert. This was a reverse grid situation, so the fast boys would be coming from the back. You can already see Phil Bell charging through on the left-hand side there, but on the first lap, as they flicked it through on the run down from Mansfield, Phil Bell got it on the grass, flipped the outfit. The leaders got through, but the guys catching up, some of them collected him, and that forced a stoppage. The race would have to be rerun, and due to the seriousness of the incident, the restart was carried over until Sunday morning. When the lights went out, again the lineup was exactly the same. Simon Gilbert got it off the line. Outfits all pushing through, but keep your eyes on the blue and white Hannafin outfit of Rupert Archer and Tom Bryant. They were making fast progress through the field, came through Hall Bends, into the curly bit, got it squirrely, sideways and bosh! Into the Armco. A massive impact, and that brought out yet another red flag. This race would have to go through yet another restart. A catastrophe. Well, here we go then. The third attempt to get race 2 off the line on Sunday morning. Live action for these people sitting trackside. The notable absentees: Phil Bell, Martin Kirk, Ricky Stevens has got a stand-in passenger. Justin Sharp is doing the business. Rupert Archer, of course, his bike was wrecked. Ian Guy is no longer taking part. And a thought for Shelley Smithers and Stuart Ramsey, 2 passengers who ended up in hospital, sadly, as a result of that massive crash. Away they go then, into Coppice. It's very fast, left-hander, depleted grid, of course. But Cadwell in the sunshine is such a beautiful, beautiful place. Still the reverse grid. Simon Gilbert got an absolute flyer. Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell there tucked in behind. But Simon Gilbert with young Jack Tritton very fast on the Draper Racing Yamaha. Underneath goes Steve Kershaw. So he's already come from 10th place, he and Stuart Clark, through to almost the lead. Nev Jones there with Rob Child was on board in race 1, but Rob Child, another passenger who injured her hand, so we have a stand-in passenger for Nev Jones as well. Looking forward from Todd Ellis at his stepfather, Gary Bryan. Through goes Todd Ellis, Gary Bryan there, and Phil Hyde fighting through on the LCR Kawasaki, but Todd Ellis on the 600 underneath. Gary Horsepole and James Connell on the Baker Plant Seaford Quality Foods Kawasaki lead the race, but they've got some busy bees behind them. Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark, number 29, in second place. Teammate Todd Ellis, Chaz Richardson, Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde in 4th. Going really well. Gary Bryan still nursing that injured right hand, having lost a finger and a half in a lawnmower accident, but it's not impeding his riding at all. We're on board with him now. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde then, looking at Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson. Now, can Kershaw go past that Kawasaki of Horsepoles? Is every bit as quick as the Kawasaki of the series leader. There they go, the red outfit still in front in the shimmering sunshine here at Cadwell Park. What a glorious weekend. Now here we go. Steve Kershaw, Stuart Clark underneath as they go up towards Park Corner. Can they go underneath Horsepole? No, being a bit circumspect. Oh, a little kiss on the way through, but through they go. They take the place. Horsepole and Connell riding brilliantly here. This is their opportunity, of course, to score big points. There are absentees, as we've explained from this race. Flying by Gary Bryan and Todd Ellis on the grass and a spin. That's why Gary Bryan flew by. Going backwards, managed to get it stopped before they hit the fence. Can they get it fired up and rejoin the action? Well, the answer to that is yes, just about. Thumbs up to each other and away they go. New race leaders then. Oh, Gary Bryan now looking underneath Gary Horsepole. So the two Garys, through he goes at the foot of the mountain. Up, slightly airborne over the top, in towards Hall Bends. This is the part where the teams aren't particularly fond of the narrow Cadwell circuit. One or two say that the bikes, the modern day bikes, have outgrown the tight nature of this track. Nonetheless, it provides brilliant racing. Gordon Shand there. Gordon Shand on that yellow 600 all the way down from Scotland. And there, another Scot, Roger Kershaw. And neck, Gary Bryan looking on the inside. Coppice going through. No, he's not. Horsepole is racing out of his leathers. What a great effort. Pete Founds, number 72, and Jevon Walmsley, fresh from a good ride in the Isle of Man TT. Pete Founds, Gary Bryan, another TT exponent. A brilliant Isle of Man week for him. Now he's going to have another go at Horsepole, and round he goes. Makes it stick at Park that time. Into Crest Curve, then down towards the Gooseneck they go from here. Nev Jones in the thick of the action ahead. There's Ricky Stevens with Justin Sharp on board. Justin Sharp, a very competent passenger who can just jump in without any race training, and most of these people need to keep racing to stay match fit, as it were. We're on board with Ricky Stevens now. His passenger Ryan Charlwood, the former champion, with him, had a bump on the head, and under the 8 or 10 day rule that we now have, if you are unconscious, then you cannot ride the following weekend, or indeed at any point prior to that. So Ryan Charlwood sitting out this race, watching his driver do the business on the Quattro-Plant JG Speedfit Kawasaki. That's the lead that Kershaw has. Gary Bryan in second place. Then it's Gary Horsepole, and these three have a huge, huge lead over Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton. Through they go. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards on the rev limiter. Sounds like they're stuck in a lower gear. It's revving out, and that wasn't a misfire, that was the rev limiter. Here comes Rod Robinson and Kirsty Hawkswell ahead of Nev Jones, Ricky Stevens, Gordon Shand on the yellow outfit in the middle. Good to see Shandy here. We'll be seeing him again when we get up to Knockhill, of course. Todd Ellis is back in the action. He and Charlie Richardson catching up, playing catch up basically, and ahead of them Shand. There we can see Brian Gray and Jason Pitt having gone past Pete Founds, and right with them Andy Peach. Andy Peach dropping backwards. So these guys going past the ailing engine or an engine or gearbox of Andy Peach. Look at Kershaw and Clark throwing it through there. Handsome lead again. This will really, really pile the points on in their quest to become the British Sidecar Champion for the first time in their career, and the first Scot to win that title, should they get there, since Jock Taylor, the legendary Jock Taylor. Waiting now for the chasing bunch. There Dean Nichols and Kenny Cole, with Pete Founds very much line astern, and Andy Peach staying in touch. But now we've got big bike plays small bike, and not only is it a small engine, it's a short chassis that Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley have got there, the number 72 outfit. Over the line then with the last lap flag out for Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell. This race was cut to 5 laps due to all the carnage that ensued in the first 2 previous starts, and this battle is raging. There have been fights all the way down the field. Can Dean Nichols keep that big engine ahead of a very, very determined Suzuki in the hands of Pete Founds? Todd Ellis then closing and going round Andy Peach and Ken Edwards. And who's that ahead? That's Brian Gray and Jason Pitt. Will they be able to close them down? Certainly his corner speed is impressive. Just watch him on the run in. There, Pete Founds. Jevon Walmsley, the number 72. Dean Nichols, Kenny Cole, and there Todd Ellis chasing. Race leaders then. Kershaw and Clark with this handsome lead at the foot of the mountain. Keep it straight over here, just aviates nicely into the bottom of the mountain for the third place outfit of Gary Horsepole and James Connell. Second place it is for Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. They've nailed that one. What a brilliant result for them. Getting quicker as the season goes on over the line with the checkered flag. Kershaw and Clark take race 2 after all the drama that went before. That's the size of the winning margin. Second place go to the number 68, or GB if you like, Gary Bryan. Horsepole and Connell, final step on the podium. They are thrilled with that, and justly so. Simon Gilbert, Jack Tritton, ahead of this really, really hot battle with Todd Ellis trying desperately to close down on Pete Founds, but failing to pip him on the line. But a great effort after having been on the grass. There you have it though, Stuart Clark waving to what I have to say is a very enthusiastic sidecar crowd here at Cadwell in this revival meeting. 8.5 seconds the margin. There's your top 3, that's the podium. 4th for Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton, fantastic. 5th for Jevon Walmsley and Pete Founds, his driver. Ellison Richardson made it 6th. 14 finishers, Nev Jones there collecting a couple of points. So it's another top step for Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark. On the grid for race 3 in absolutely fantastic conditions. The sun's beating down on my head. The track's going to get warm as well, if not already warm. Still the reverse grid. Pole position, we've got Andy Peach and Ken Edwards. Andy, in the previous race, bit of a misfire, gearbox problem, or what was it?
Broke the gear change on second lap, so I do the rest of the lap race in third gear, so that was on the rev limiter, no misfire.
Oh, that's what it was, yes. I heard it burbling along here, so that was on the rev limiter. You okay now, though? Fixed?
Yeah, fixed. I mean, the engine's slow, but we're doing what we can with it, so it's good.
Brian Gray and Dean Nichols find themselves just here effectively on row 2. They are just getting better and better, you know. They're riding really, really well here. And with the incidents we've had, the grid has gone a bit quiet. There's an opportunity for everybody, as Ricky Stevens said, to score big points. Enjoy. Well, like them or love them, these reverse grids give everybody the opportunity to score those big points. They certainly make for exciting racing, and Kershaw and Clark have shown that they can come back from 10th place on the grid very, very quickly. Now, keep your eye on Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson nearest us in the camera here as Charlie settles himself down. The lights go out again. Andy Peach aiming to rocket that thing off the line, having fixed the gearbox. Ricky Stevens right alongside him on the Quattroplant JG Speed Fit Kawasaki. Todd Ellis having a look around the outside, almost up to 3rd. He is up to 3rd. Fantastic start for the 600 CBR Honda. That is a quick engine. Alongside the Kawasaki of Ricky Stevens, Todd Ellis has grabbed 2nd place as well. He is so determined. Ricky Stevens, of course, riding with a standing passenger, Justin Sharp, but that does not affect the power. Justin might be a little bit heavier than Ryan Charwood. There we can see the number 51, Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton ahead of Brian Gray and Jason Pitt, who have been riding in all the classic races as well this weekend. Looking right and left and through to take the lead. Todd Ellis and Charlie Richardson grab the lead. Unbelievable stuff. What a brilliant, brilliant charge that was for them. And now a move through. Up to 2nd goes Ricky Stevens in pursuit. Here comes Gary Bryan. There, Dean Nichols and Kenny Cole, who got an absolute flyer off the line with their big engine, but they've been gobbled up now by a couple of 600s and the big bike of Gary Bryan. Brian Gray and Jason Pitt on the power biking Yamaha. Over the hill they go. Here's Simon Gilbert. Just watch how they go through this tight bit at the hairpin, flicking it round. Down, barn corner, onto the start-finish straight. Todd Ellis leads. Then it's Ricky Stevens. Then it's Gary Bryan, and he will go past on power, and he does. So now up to second place, Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. Ricky Stevens and Justin Sharp in third, but having a good ride here. It's damage limitation for the former double champion, because without his regular passenger, he's got to score as many points as he possibly can. On the back of Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell, we're on board with Steve Kershaw. Steve Kershaw rocketing past Andy Peach. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards there very quickly relegated by the number 29 Santander Salt Molson outfit, ably assisted by Express Tyres of Lockerbie. The Hamilton family so long involved in tyre supply for sidecar racing, with the Yokohama distributors for many, many years. This class now, of course, all Avon rubber. Everybody using Avon tyres. You can see the Avon logo as Kershaw rockets past, but got Horsepole not giving an inch. Look how tight they are. Dean Nichols has got busy traffic behind him. Through goes Kershaw. Kershaw now on the back of Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley on the Suzuki, the short chassis Suzuki. And this is more suited, I suppose, really, around the woody section, not unlike parts of the Isle of Man TT. Race leaders, Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde in second. Here are your top three. Is this looking like the podium? Well, Steve Kershaw will have a view on that, and he has. Rocketing past Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley. Alan Founds, Pete's brother, not here this weekend. They are away on World Championship duty, so that's a pity, as indeed are the Birchwells. So one or two notable absentees, big names, and of course next weekend we've got the Southern 100 in the Isle of Man, so there's a good chance some of the riders won't be at Knockhill either. We rejoin the BSB circus at Knockhill for the next round. Todd Ellis and Charlie Richardson, only their second season together. Richardson, of course, a world-class, highly experienced passenger. Todd Ellis, would you believe, last year was a rookie. Sensational. Rolf Bieland, the 7 times world champion, was trackside watching this youngster and said, that is a special talent. Sliding it in. Bit of a dent on the nose of Gary Horsepole's outfit there as well. So his fairing has taken a punt, as indeed have many of the outfits taken a bit of a shunt this weekend. Kershaw then right on the back of Ricky Stevens, not anymore. Rocketing past then the championship leaders. But a couple of quick outfits ahead of them. Can they wind in the race leaders? Gordon Shand and Tony Belsey on the yellow outfit at the back of this bunch. As Brian Gray and Jason Pitt go through, now we've got Kershaw and Clark into second place, going past Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde up to second. Just look at the corner speed, sliding it round. Who would have thought that this driver not too many years ago had open heart surgery. 2015 had a massive crash at the end of the season at Knockhill, and he is just so quick now. Championship leader by a staggering amount of points he will be after this, but he's closing down the guy who's really been his main rival. Look at the way Stuart Clark just throws himself across the sidecar wheel, goes fractionally light, and through the bends here they can't really work this left fully. The change in direction is too tight. All they can do is just basically stay neutral, bit of right, bit of left, and there's none better than Phil Hyde. He's great at this. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards, number 4. Dean Nichols, Kenny Cole, number 11. Brian Gray, number 7, with Jason Pitt. So this battle has raged race long. On the line, I said of Dean Nichols that how much his riding has improved, and he's just getting better and better. He's now mixing it in the thick of the action and moving quite handsomely at the standings. So good for them. Pete Founds, red plate in 5th place, Pete Founds. 6th, Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell. 7th it is for number 7 on the bike. 8th place then for Andy Peach and Ken Edwards. Dean Nichols 9th and Brian Gray in 10th. And we are on board with Brian Gray and Jason Pitt. And as I said earlier, they've had a busy weekend. They're riding their Honda in the Classic event. So Jason, from a passenger's point of view, is really earning his corn this weekend. This man is an absolute expert veteran, rode in Grand Prix at the highest level 40 years ago and still doing it here and giving it his best shot. And there he is, right on the back of Dean Nichols, the man from Highbridge in Somerset, with Kenny Cole. Now, what about the corner speed of this 600 Yamaha as they drop down into the gooseneck, down to Mansfield, the left-hander? We're at Mansfield now. Oh, Brian Gray's gone straight on over the grass, through the bottom, back on the track, a look over the shoulder. Well, that gave Dean Nichols a bit of breathing space. Now they're closing up here. Kershaw is on the tail end of his teammate Todd Ellis, who's on a 600, the big Kawasaki, the Molson Santander Salt Kawasaki of Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark, very much in touch. All the back end breaking away as he backed it in. Todd Ellis is just amazing with his corner speed, but he's got no answer for the grunt from that big Kawasaki. Chaz Richardson, a leg flailing in the air as they go round Park Corner into Chris Curve. They're round Chris Curve now, dropping down out of sight towards the gooseneck. Another flailing leg from Phil Hyde at Chris Curve. The same point on the track, down they go. And now Andy Peach and Ken Edwards on the back of Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton, with Dean Nichols very much in the hunt. Sits up, looks back. Where is he, that impudent youngster? Well, there he is, Todd Ellis, number 6. 600cc bikes carry a red number plate. That's the way you, as the viewer, can differentiate big engine from small engine. Next year, it will all be 600s. So whether we'll continue to use red number plates or not, that's an interesting point. I doubt it. I think we'll probably revert to normal numbers because everybody will be on 600s. Out go the boards. The pit crew and the spectators here with 1 lap remaining. This brilliant 2.18 Cadwell Park track. Lap record here held by Tim Reeves, who is not competing in the British Championship this year, sadly, is doing a full-on world and roads campaign. Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley really acquitting themselves well. 5th place on that 600 short chassis Suzuki. But race leaders Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark march on imperiously on this final lap to another maximum 25 points here. And of course, potentially they will enhance their tally by 100 if they can repeat it in the final race. But it's another brilliant ride for Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde, who are on target for 3rd. Battle here going on. In 7th place it's Simon Gilbert, there Dean Nichols. Gilbert ahead of Andy Peach. Good to see Andy Peach and Ken Edwards getting some finishes in, because they've had a torrid season with mechanical problems so far. The gap now something like 5 seconds Kershaw has over the chasing Todd Ellis, and the checkered flag is in sight. The run out of barn towards the flag and just catching up with Nev Jones, and there it is, victory number 3 here for Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark. Bryan completing the podium, Ellis there in 2nd. Stevens, well, they couldn't quite do it, but a good effort and valuable points ahead of Pete Founds, Jevon Walmsley. Horsepole and Connell, Gilbert, Peach, Nichols, Brian Gray, more solid points there in 10th. Gordon Shand gets some points. Rod Robinson, Kirsty Hawkswell, Greg Lambert, Julie Canepa, Kevin Cable, and a final point going to Nev Jones.
Thank you.
This is it, the fourth and final race at what's been an absolutely glorious Sidecar Revival meeting here at Cadwell. Don't forget, the Massingbird Monday Lincoln Red Beef weekend has been a thorough success. Lining up at the front here, Brian Gray and Jason Pitt. Looking back, Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton, they've been flying as well on the big Yamaha. It's going to be really interesting. Kershaw had to work for it last time. Todd Ellis was on a mission. Teammates they might be, but daggers drawn on track. That's it. Have a good one. Dean Nichols alongside Brian Gray, who starts from pole position. Again, this reverse grid there. Can Todd Ellis go one better and bring it home to the checkered flag ahead of his teammate Steve Kershaw? Well, Kershaw's starting behind him, but only one place behind him. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards there alongside Simon Gilbert. Now watch Gilbert, because he's got a big engine. Dean Nichols has got a big engine. So the Kawasaki of Nichols and the Yamaha on streaking through. Look at that, we're now on board with Gary Bryan, who's on the grass. A bit of a punt with Simon Gilbert, who I can tell you takes no prisoners. If you think you're going to push Simon Gilbert out of the way, you're wrong, because he's a big lad and he's determined. He's been around the scene a long time. But Gary Bryan, a bit of a wistful shake of the head. So they're now starting from the back, and they're going to have to fight their way through. Andy Peach looking good. There goes Nev Jones. There's Gary Bryan right at the back behind Kevin Cable and Guy Balsley on that beautifully turned out outfit. As always, they're here in style. Good truck, good awning, nice setup, and a switch place there as through goes Todd Ellis. Todd Ellis then on the back now of Brian Gray. Brian Gray, the pole position man, through he goes. He's eating them up here. He knows he can't afford to hang about because Kershaw will be on his case. Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell there, right kissing the tyre on that big Kawasaki. Todd Ellis then in the hunt. It's into the woods, he's going to be able to make up. No, he's looking at the bottom of the mountain, flicking it right, through he goes. Up over the top they go. Gary Horsepole alongside Dean Nichols, who's riding really, really well. Come on, Dino. Through they go then, into Hall Bends. Down towards the right-hander of the hairpin. They're at it now. Line astern, it's busy, busy, busy. And then down this next right-hander is Barn. There used to be a barn there where if you went straight on, you ended up in the barn. But now there's a good safety fence, air fencing as well. On the start-finish straight, this is where the big bike will come into its own. There's Todd Ellis. There is Kershaw, just flashing through underneath Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton. Andy Peach managing to stay ahead. That looked like Ricky Stevens and Justin Sharp with him as well. So all the way down the field. As I said before, you can say what you like about the reverse grid. It provides great entertainment. There is these two Molson bikes. Todd Ellis has just been duffed up by Kershaw. There they are, line astern, and Todd Ellis won't like that. He's got to find some answer for this big engine somewhere. Knockhill could provide that answer. Dean Nichols looking really, really strong still. He's got a determined Steve Kershaw alongside him and by him. Ellis going too. So look at that. Right on the back, he's mirroring it down, all the way down then towards the chicane here, which was put in to slow the overall speed on the run to the foot of the mountain. Race leader, 32, on the Baker Plant Sleaford Quality Foods. That's a mouthful, that is. Kawasaki of Gary Horsepole and James Connell. They will be in a very strong championship position the way they've been riding this weekend. Horsepole, a former F2 British champion, of course, had a big crash on the F2, took a couple of seasons out, came back with a long bike, and bit by bit, he's really learned to tame it. Brian Gray, number 7. There's Dean Nichols. These are evenly matched for speed. Kershaw's bike is not any quicker than Gary Horsepole's, I can tell you that. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde alongside Rod Robinson and Kirsty Hawkswell. Number 10, Rod Robinson. Robbo, as he's known, just a lovely, lovely guy who has been around the scene for years and solidly chips away in the points. They're close, aren't they, these two? But nothing that Kershaw can do at the moment can find an answer to the speed that Gary Horspoler's got. Out of the gooseneck, down towards the left-hander at Mansfield. Now along this straight towards the chicane. They flick it right. Left, just watch the passenger. Just can barely get out now. Stay left, here goes Kershaw, up the inside. Oh, well, I have to say, Gary, you left plenty of room there. You left too much room. Should have stayed tight left. Never mind, over they go. Todd Ellis is the next one, I think, to have a nibble at the number 32 outfit of Horsepole. 6, Todd Ellis does not want Kershaw to get too much of an advantage. Are we looking at the podium here? It's too early to say, but certainly Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell have given it their very best shot. On the Baker Plant hire Kawasaki. Roger Kershaw, Steve's father, looking over the pit wall there. Very much a family affair, the Kershaws. Pete Founds, Jevon Walmsley on target for another good result. Gary Bryan, having had that grass excursion at the start of the race, is still fighting his way through the pack and not doing a bad job. He's on the back of Ricky Stevens and Justin Sharp and going past with the big engine, the superior power of the 1000cc Kawasaki. Now that's Todd Ellis. Todd Ellis underneath at Mansfield. Ahead of him is teammate on the big bike. There we have it, championship leader, race leader. Is it going to be 4 in a row? Well, you'd be a brave man to say no. And this is looking like the podium. Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell can go away from here feeling well pleased with their efforts. And now Gary Bryan on Dean Nichols, looking for a way through. And you have to feel it's only a matter of time. But when he goes through, will Ricky Stevens be able to do anything about it? Well, Ricky Stevens is on the back of Gary Bryan, but once Gary Bryan gets Dean Nichols between himself and the chasing pack, then who knows? Brian Gray over the line. Behind him, Pete Founds. So Brian Gray having a brilliant ride in 4th at the moment. Oh, Dean Nichols with the sidecar wheel on the grass has put a stone through the camera lens on the onboard camera on Gary Bryan. Well, you can thank your lucky stars, Phil Hyde, that wasn't your visor. It was the camera lens, and now we've got a damaged camera. Doesn't matter, ain't going to slow the bike down. Race leaders, Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark. Absolutely impeccable weekend for them. 4 races, looking like 4 victories. Ricky Stevens and Justin Sharp on the Quattroplant JG Speedfit Kawasaki, and they have just been duffed up by Andy Peach. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards through with the Kawasaki going well. Now it's got all its gears. Oh, look at that! How quick do you want it? Kershaw and Clark just time it beautifully. The sidecar wheel, as Stuart Clark goes from left to right, takes a lot of air, but then the moment Steve Kershaw throws it right into the foot of the mountain, it plants the sidecar wheel again. That's the gap. 3rd place for the number 32 Horsepole and Connell, and another podium for them if they can bring it home to the checkered flag, and that's been a very successful weekend at Cadwell Park for them. Meanwhile, marching on their way, the race leaders, and still this battle raging with Ricky Stevens unable to find an answer for Andy Peach, who's vastly experienced. Likewise, Ken Edwards, the passenger. They've been around a long time. They know how to race an outfit. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde muscling their way past Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley on the 600cc Suzuki, the short chassis, as I've said before. And the battles all the way down the field. This reverse grid has provided a lot of drama. 2nd place, teammates again, but when they're on the track, they are rivals, huge rivals. Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson. When it's all 600 next year, what a different story that might be. As Ricky Stevens got an answer here, he's going to have to do Andy Peach on the brakes coming up to Park Corner. On the inside, he's got him, hot in on the brakes, and they've made it stick. So ahead of them now, Dean Nichols. Look at this, margin is astonishing. I would have loved Tim Reeves to have been on track with us this season in the British Championship, just to see how he would have dealt with the newly found speed of Steve Kershaw. And now, oh, we've got a red flag. We've got a red flag. We're on the last lap, actually. That's Rod Robinson, Kirsty Hawkswell. So they've had a moment. That looks like Coppice at the end of the start-finish straight, just as they were about to start the lap. They crashed. There it is then. 10 seconds the margin. Result confirmed. Kershaw, Ellis, Horspoll. That's the podium. Brian Gray and Jason Pitt. Fantastic fourth place head of Gary Bryan, who came from the back. Founds behind him, further down the order, and you can see there, Rod and Kirsty crashed. Hope they're well.
Yeah, I love Cadwell Park. I mean, James travels miles every weekend, so I can't thank him enough. I've been coming here since I was a little kid, and I just determined when I got near the front that I was going to have to go hard to get by me, so just went as hard as I could, and good effort, like.
Yeah, you bashed your toe last time out, and I often say in commentary, you know, you make this long pilgrimage to Scotland. That is dedication and commitment. Well done.
Yeah, it's fine. It's very enjoyable, really good racing, so it's worth coming down the travel, definitely.
It's becoming a regular thing with these two, Todd and Chaz. Rookies last year, you just leapfrogged through the ranks. So what a performance and what a weekend you've had.
Yeah, it's a bit surreal just from starting off, just doing a little bit of Bempty last year and straight into the British, and we've got a bit of a home advantage here. I've been coming here 20 years and love it, so I should know my way around, really.
Chaz, this union has sort of re-kick-started your career, hasn't it?
It has. Just racing for a bit of fun now. It just makes it so much easier to go and perform on the bike when you're not too stressed out. But yeah, just onwards and upwards, really. Try and aim for some more wins.
Stephen Stewart, you don't mess about, do you? 4 in a row.
Yeah, that's it, Barry. You know, anything can happen in the sport, so you know there's been a few crashes this weekend, so just keep racking the points up just in case, you know, get as big a gap as we can. We might have a Duff meeting somewhere, so that's the aim in the game.
You could probably go on holiday for a month, couldn't you, and still come back in the lead?
Nah, I can't do that, not on this paddock. Not on this paddock. There's always somebody, in motorsport there's always somebody to take your place in there, so.
Well, that's mightily impressive, isn't it? Look at that, 211 points, but what a performance by Ellis and Richardson. Gary Bryan in there, level with Gary Horspoll. I told you they'd be up on the table, and they are. Stephen's still there, respectable. Ryan Charlwood will be back when we get to Knock Hill. There's the 600 Cup, and Ellis has got a lead there, hasn't he? Well, the Massingbird Monday Lincoln Red Beef Sidecar Revival here at Cadwell Park has sadly come to a close. We've had drama, we've had incident. Best wishes to all the people who were actually injured in the accident. They're all going to be fine. I'll put your mind at rest now. Great results. Kershaw's 4 wins here. They've been absolutely dominant. The next round is at Knock Hill. We're there in about a couple of weeks' time, so we hope you enjoy this special show. Hope you've enjoyed the antique content. I, for one, certainly have. Thank you for watching. See you in Scotland.
The most exciting new development in the world of motor racing has arrived. Welcome to Speedweek's E-Series, a revolutionary new show where we pit professional driver against gamer in the fastest cars on the best tracks in racing simulators.
Look at them side by side. Wheel-to-wheel racing. Oh, that is a very big off. Look at the focus from these two.
GT3 Championship.
They're going to make it 3. Oh, DeMurray's great move.
8 drivers.
And the Corvette, it goes round the outside.
Pro drivers versus gamers.
That is a big moment at the top of Mount Panorama. Fantastic finish. What a race.
Speedweek E-Series. Powered by Gran Turismo Sport and PlayStation 4. Coming soon.